Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM and AM 630. WMAL.
637 on WMAL. Brian Neiman, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson. Don't have Lanny Davis today, so it's a treat for you out there this morning.
Yeah, that's right.
We love Lanny. We'll try to get him back on next week. But, you know, we were going to get into Lanny with the comments that Mitt Romney made yesterday on CNN that caused quite the controversy and probably will continue to cause quite the controversy not only today but in the weeks, maybe even months ahead.
I fear that's the case.
Here's what he said to Soledad O'Brien.
I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it. I'm not concerned about the very rich. They're doing just fine. I'm concerned about the very heart of America, the 90-95% of Americans who right now are struggling.
All right, some people went bonkers over these comments. Are you going bonkers over these comments? And how big of a deal will this be for Mitt Romney? 1-888-630-9625, 1-888-630-WMAL.
Well, if you just look at it from the communications aspect and not really get into the argument about is he right in his statement, the fact that you have said the words, I'm not really concerned about the poor, is a problem. Very poor. Yeah, the very poor. That
specifically.
Right.
Yeah,
the really, really poor people. I don't really care.
That's a real mistake, communications wise. Because guess what? There is the 30-second ad you're going to see if he becomes the nominee in the fall. That's and in fact, Newt Gingrich is going to run a 30-second ad on that. Right. You can be certain of that. And so what it really sort of folds into is the narrative about Romney. Is he if there's a rap on Romney, many people say, well, he's a rich guy and he's really not in touch with how average people are living. Now, look, I think that's a little unfair. And when you listen to his entire statement and you see the context of what he was saying, it's a little unfair to do that, but still, it's out there, and it becomes a real problem for this campaign. And I don't think this one's going to just sort of go away in a day or so.
Look, every time I hear something like this, I think, yay, I get to talk about this 4 seconds of audio for the rest of the year. And Mitt Romney keeps surprising me because with Mitt Romney, you give up some things as a conservative. Mm-hmm. You say, okay, maybe he's not the most reliable conservative in the world, but he's a smart guy. He's going to be good on TV. He's going to sort of hold his own and not make a bunch of gaffes. That has not been the case lately. It feels like someone on the campaign gave him a rich white guy bingo card with like 8 things you shouldn't say.
He said them.
And he's marking them off.
He's working his way through it.
He is going to win bingo night at the Lions Club, my friend. Because now we've got this one. We've got I like to fire people. Mm-hmm. We've got the $10,000 bet, which that one wasn't so bad, but people made a big deal about it. What are some of those?
Corporations are people, or people are corporations.
The banks aren't bad people, which in all of them had context, and I am willing to stipulate that every time that happens, but
you can defend those comments. You can defend them all, but the problem is you have to defend them.
Yes. We are spending time defending them, and people who are not paying a lot of attention are seeing on Twitter, I'm not concerned about the very poor. That's all they're seeing, is that quote, and it is not given context. I will say that it's so clear it doesn't come from a bad place with him. Like he's not being at all malicious. Yeah. I don't think that he doesn't care about the poor, partly because in 3 speeches recently I've heard him say, specifically, I care about the poor. I mean, he says that in speeches, so it's not that he really believes that, and he very quickly follows up with what he actually means. Mm-hmm. So the media actually does have to say, look, here's what he was saying. But that little soundbite filters down.
Yeah. But here's the bottom line for me. Is he right? He's right.
He is right.
He's absolutely right about it. Now, I can quibble over some of the things that he said, such as I'm most concerned about the middle class. You could say, well, then he's getting into the whole class warfare thing as well, or dividing us by class. And I don't really like the fact that he's more concerned about the heart of America, the 95% of Americans who are really struggling right now. Not all Americans are struggling right now. I mean, people are doing okay, and it's fine. It makes it say like, oh, poor America. It's more of the issue I have with that than I did with that he doesn't care about the very poor. Because guess what? There are programs right now to help the very poor. There were programs before the Great Recession to help with the very poor, and there will continue to be these programs to help the very poor in the future. And by the way, is Barack Obama really out there saying, hey, we need to do more for the very, very poor? I haven't heard him really saying that.
It is
so he's
true.
not that far off from what Democrats are saying.
It is true. We have programs not only that help the very poor, but help 2 and 3 and 4 times the poverty level. So there's access to those programs. What I would like, it's hard to talk about poverty as a conservative and be compassionate, and I just want somebody who can speak smartly about it, because what we want, Newt Gingrich had the best line that I've heard in recent memory from a politician about this. We want to teach people to get a job, move up in that job, and someday own that job. We want to create more middle class and, yes, occasionally very rich people. That's what we want to do, because it is dignifying and it is great and it's what's wonderful about America. This did not communicate any of that.
I noticed that Lanny Davis is on the line.
He's back. Oh,
Lanny, you've heard the conversation, and we expect that you're going to rail about this. What do you think?
Well, I've just listened to the three of you, and I have 2 words to say to all of you.
Yes.
You're fired.
Thank you.
As long as I get that severance check.
Can I retire now?
I mean, this is another Mitt Romney line. He seems to, Donald Trump, someone comes to me with something I don't like, you know what I'd say to you? You're fired.
Well, hold on. The counter-argument could be made that the policies of the Obama administration have been sort of, to say, in a way, he's never said the words, but the policies are such that it indicates that he doesn't really care for people who have had success and have some wealth. But isn't he supposed to be the president of all the people? Can't that counter-argument be made?
Sure, he should be president of all the people, and let's get serious for a second, because actually I don't want to fire you guys, because I enjoy giving you a hard time. Likability is one of the unrated issues that is probably the most important of all in determining your vote. And I predicted that Al Gore would have a hard time defeating George Bush, because I knew George Bush from college days, and I never knew one person who disliked George Bush. He's one of the most likable, nice guys I've ever known to this day. Mitt Romney can't resist coming across as simply unlikable. It's not about the words. I think he's got a good heart. He's a great father. I admire his values as a parent. I don't admire the way he treats dogs, but that's a whole other issue.
Oh, you had to
cheap
go
shot
there.
after cheap shot.
Once again.
I tell you, I disagree with you on that.
Cheap shot. All I think about is that dog having diarrhea, being hosed down and put back on top of the car. That's a true story. But look, likability is very important, and I don't think that there's anything about Mitt Romney that's hard-hearted. I think he's probably a very nice man. And I liked him for a long period of time until he started to come across as not very nice. And therefore, in politics, he's going to lose votes among people who just don't find him likable.
All right, but is he right? There's a safety net right now for very poor people.
That's right.
And if it needs repair, I'll fix it. That's what he said.
If he said just that, it's a gaffe. I think he cares about poor people. I think it's silly to say he doesn't, but it's another gaffe.
But is it
that comes from this is really Romney's problem, and it goes back to the flip-flop, a charge which all politicians do. But it's the lack of authenticity that you have an instinct about the guy.
Well,
there's no real grounding there. So he makes these mistakes because he goes off his script, or he doesn't have anything inside him that says, I shouldn't say the words, I don't care. Everything else is okay, but saying I don't care just sounds bad, and it's a gaffe.
All right, Lanny.
Thank you, Lanny. We'll talk to you next.